Yeah, for sure. So, my goal as a whole is to be the person who I needed, who I never got.
Mm.
For
Hold on,
people
hold
who,
on, hold on, hold on. You got to repeat that one for me.
my goal is just to be the person who I needed, who I never got. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? It's just crazy. Like, I just look at myself. Like I said, if I was, who did the 15-year-old me need? What did the 15-year-old me need? I'm not even saying want, but just bare necessities need. And I try to, figure out how I can be that for anybody that I come into contact with.
Have you ever experienced the therapeutic effect of pickleball? For example, let's say you're having a bad day, a bad week, or even a bad year. But when you step on the court, it all just seems to melt away. If you have, you're going to enjoy my conversation with Jay Gizmo Hall. Gizmo is an excellent pickleball player. He's a mental health advocate and really just an overall inspiration on and off the court. And it's fitting because this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we talk about the connection between mental health and pickleball. We also get into his story, how he's bringing the sport to younger generations, to juvenile detention centers, and even to the country of Mexico. If you want to learn more about Gizmo, be sure to check him out on social media. I'll include a few links in the description. Also, quick announcement, I plan to upload some more instructional content in the next week or so be sure to check back for that. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Jay Gizmo Hall. Let's get into it. Jay Gizmo Hall, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. I'm excited to meet you and to talk about pickleball and farming and mental health and everything else under the sun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. And, like you said before we started recording, it's been a long time coming, but alas, here we are.
Yeah, man. So just to kick things off, I would classify you as probably the best dressed person in pickleball. Um, can you share a little bit about your philosophy behind that? What inspired you, and maybe share some tips on how can we up our game on the pickleball court and what we're wearing?
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate your kind words. The one thing about me is, I don't really care what I wear. I don't care, what colors it is. I don't care if it matches. Actually, I never wear anything that matches. My shoes will never match. My socks will never match. I usually wear cheeseburger leggings, cheeseburger shorts, cheeseburger jersey of some, or one or multiple colors. Yeah, I mean, me personally, one thing about me is you're either going to remember me for how I play or for how I look, but at the end of the day, you'll never forget me. And that's just kind of always been my theme, as far as I just want to stand out and be myself at the same time. Because, like, if I'm doing that, that means that I'm consciously not trying to dress or be like somebody else.
I love it. Yeah, and I think it speaks so much to just the core of who you are, your authenticity, and just you not trying to be anybody else. You're just being you. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time, like, I've been through real life, and, like, I refuse to go through the rest of my life trying to be somebody who I'm not, or trying to impress somebody who either I really don't like or they don't like me. Because at the end of the day, their opinion doesn't matter, and their opinion doesn't pay my mortgage.
So true. And I think that's a great segue to my next question is your story and kind of what has led you up to this point, as far as you spoke to a little bit to it as far as your background and what you've been through. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So at 20 years old, I got shot 4 times. My right femur got shattered, so I ended up having to have 9 surgeries in 3 months. My right ring finger got amputated. I had to go through a year of extensive rehab. Um, Finally figured out what kind of track that I wanted to go, or what trail I wanted to go on in life. And, the one thing that I knew that I wanted to do was just help people. So I ended up volunteering at the fire department. Did that for about 10 years. Put myself through the fire academy, through paramedic school, and ended up getting hired by fire department. Well, once I got hired, I worked for one department for about 2 years. Then I transferred departments, and at that department, they want you to work out at least for 1 hour per shift. We work 24-hour shifts. So we would go up to the community center, and I don't like lifting weights. Lifting weights is boring to me. It's very monotonous. It's like I'd rather just bang my head against the wall than to go lift weights. It's not fun to me. So I was in the gym shooting around basketball, and as I'm shooting around, I just hear this sound, and like it sounded like ping pong to me. So I like peek around the corner, and I see 3 nets set up and a bleacher full of mature folks, and I was just like, what is this? Is it like, it looked like mini tennis to me? I didn't come from a tennis background or anything like that. So, these 2 ladies come up to me and they say, this is pickleball. Would you like me to show you how it works? And I'm just like, I appreciate your offer, but it looks like y'all are having a good time. I'll just watch. So I watched, and then I was off for work for 2 days, and I went back to work, and I went back to the same gym, and I'm shooting around, and I hear the same sound. So I peek around the corner again, and this time the same 2 ladies come up to me, grab me by my hand, put a paddle in my hand, and say, "You don't get to look twice without at least trying it once. This is ball. Let me show you how it works." From that moment they did that to the time that I got this wild, crazy idea to quit my career, where I only worked 8 days a month to chase this crazy dream to become a professional pickleball player, traveling the world. Was about 6 months. Where I just was like, you know what? I can't continue to work at the fire department and do what I want to do with pickleball. So I ended up leaving the fire department, and that was just over 4 years ago. And I have yet to fill out a job application since.
That's awesome. What an incredible story. And it's inspiring to hear that you haven't filled out a job application. And that and just from following you on social, you're doing so much with pickleball, on the playing and the teaching and the inspiring side. And one thing I don't want to miss here that you said is helping people. Um, it sounds like there was some kind of turning point. Maybe I don't know if it was through rehab or after when you were recovering, um, or has that always existed within you? Can you kind of walk me through that?
Yeah. So, I mean, just me as an individual, like I've always had a helping heart, if you will. And I would say that part of that was probably from a lot of childhood trauma that, didn't really get talked about or, discovered until later. So like I've always kind of had that sheltering mindset of like, if somebody's in need or if somebody's hurt, like I want to be the one to help them or to, help save them. So that was that. And then I wouldn't even say that it was like a turning point, like from going through therapy, rehab or anything, because like, to be honest, like the life that I was living before I got shot, after I got shot, I was still living that same life,
Mm,
so I just, it just got to the point where I was just like, you know what, like, I just got to a pivotal moment where it's like you can either continue to be a non-contributing member of society and potentially end up spending the rest of your life behind jail, dead, or really those were the only 2 options. Or you could help people and be a contributing member of society. So, I knew that I wanted to help people. I didn't know how I wanted to help people. But I mean, I've worked in the ER for 4 years, worked in the back of a fire truck paramedic unit for, 10 plus years. I know I've helped countless amounts of people, and I'll never know how many, but I just knew in my heart of hearts, one, that I wasn't happy at the fire department any longer. And 2, that by me being able to go city to city, state to state, juvenile detention center, to schools, to adult detention centers, to Mexico, to, to spread this joy of pickleball to, underprivileged youth or people who wouldn't necessarily have had the opportunity to be introduced to pickleball. Like I know that number is going to, far supersede the amount of people that I've helped being a paramedic. And once I felt that way, I was just like, yeah, I'm out of here.
oh man, I love it. and it's the combination of two beautiful things with pickleball and helping people. Um, it's such a beautiful marriage. And you mentioned Mexico and all the other things that you're kind of into. I want to come back to that actually. But I do want to kind of camp out here for a second and talk about this. What is it about pickleball to you that helps people?
Ugh, I just got goosebumps. Honestly, I wish I could even give you a simple answer. There's so many different things. I mean, of course, like there is the mental health side because, like, I suffer from mental health issues. I ride the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And I mean, that's no secret. If you follow me on any social media, I don't hide that in any way, shape, or form. But when I step out on that court and it's 0-0-2, like I kind of like box myself into these white lines as far as like mentally, nothing else matters. Like in my life, yeah, it could be turmoil and I mean, my life could just be falling apart. But like for until 11 points is scored, literally nothing else matters to me. Right when I made the jump from the fire department, like I ended up losing my mother.
Hmm.
And as family was coming in, like we were having to go, make sure everything was fine at the funeral home and everything. But like there was a 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. pickleball group. And like they're like my aunt and everybody, they just didn't understand. They're like, yo, we got somewhere to be. I was like, yo, take a separate car. I'll meet y'all there. Like I have to go play pickleball before I go do this. And it was just like my way of kind of just compartmentalizing to like build up enough energy to get through the rest of my day of what I needed to get through.
Hmm.
And there's also the weight loss aspect, the health fitness goals. Like there's somebody who I met through social who I sent him some paddles and, he messaged me a year later saying, you saved my life. I ended up losing over 100 pounds. Like my family loves me again. Like my whole family now plays pickleball. I mean, again, I was 31 when I heard about pickleball. Like if I would have heard about pickleball at 15 or 16, think about how much trouble I could have stayed out of. So, I mean, there's just so many different angles to hit under just hitting a plastic ball over a 2.5, 3 foot net. Like it's really mind blowing. And it makes me kind of just put things in perspective. Like maybe we're really overthinking it. Like as far as like happiness, like maybe the minimalistic approach of like just a paddle a ball in the net is all it takes to make you happy. Like, I mean, just think if we applied that approach to like our lives, like what would that look
Oh man, that's poetic.
like?
I love it. And I don't want to overshadow something. I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. That's heartbreaking, man. That's heavy.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it is what it is. We didn't have the best relationship, but the relationship we had was ours. And she's in a better place. And I can't dwell on that. So all I can do now is do my best to make her proud.
Yeah, and it sounds like you are, and I believe you are, and it almost sounds like, and I experience a lot of what you're talking about with kind of this therapeutic effect, and I haven't really found the words to describe it, but I think you did a great job of describing it, where you kind of have this box where all of a sudden all of the noise just kind of gets shut out and you are limited to just this space and time. And in a lot of ways it saved my life during COVID, where I didn't really know what was going to happen the next day. And I think we were all dealing with levels of anxiety on a global scale, and even more so kind of in a local granular level. But I love the way you describe that, and I love how you're turning the negative into a positive. And it seems like that's also a theme just throughout your life, taking, or maybe some really bad cards that you were handed, but then turning it into something that's inspirational and helpful for other people. And I think that's a good segue for maybe talking about the correctional facilities. I've seen that you're kind of into some work with that now. Like, what is all that about?
Yeah, for sure. So, my goal as a whole is to be the person who I needed, who I never got.
Mm.
For
Hold on,
people
hold on, hold on, hold on.
who
You got to repeat that one for me.
I mean, my goal is just to be the person who I needed, who I never got. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? it's just crazy. Like, I just look at myself, like I said, if I was, who did the 15-year-old me need? What did the 15-year-old me need? I'm not even saying want, but just bare necessities need. And I try to, figure out how I can be that for anybody that I come into contact with. So, what I do is when I go into these schools and juvenile detention centers, like, yes, I introduce pickleball, but like, I also tell them my story. And I don't go in there with like pointing a finger at them like, hey, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. It's just like, hey, I'm just telling you what I chose to do, how it worked out for me. And if you can, if I can lessen the learning curve by you just go living vicariously through me and you getting up out of this situation that you got yourself into and never coming back, then like that's a win. So again, I go in there, I dress like them, I look like them, I have stories that are similar to their stories, like we can relate. And it's just so crazy because like, again, you say like, what is it about pickleball? It's me leaving my job at the fire department, me doing all of this stuff that I'm doing to where 4 years later, I'm in the process of building the nation's first dedicated pickleball court inside of a juvenile detention facility in Southwest Florida at the Southwest Florida Juvenile Detention Center. So like we went in there, I spoke with the superintendent. He loved what we were doing. He let us come in. We taped the lines the first time. We went back. I got a crew of 7 people. We went and painted lines. And now I'm getting ready to secure private funding to actually pour 2 permanent pickleball courts there. I've got with C&D Nets. I've actually won a $2,500 net system, and I'm donating that to that project at the center.
Wow. Wow, the first ever. That's
that I know about.
Yeah, but I mean that's still huge, and that's I think that's probably the first of many, right? Like, um,
For sure. I mean, it's crazy because like once this gets done, and it will get done this year, there's going to be other facilities in the state of Florida that are going to hear about it, and across the nation that are going to hear about it. Somebody heard about what I'm doing with the juveniles, and I got invited to St. Louis County to go to one of their adult jails, which I went and got a jail visit while I was just out there for the St. Louis Open. And I'm going back at the end of the month to take pickleball, donate equipment, and teach pickleball to the residents of one of their floors. So it's just like, I can't tell you where it's gonna go or how far it's gonna go or how big of an impact, but like that's just the beauty of it, Like have pickleball will travel anywhere.
and the thing about it is it's instantaneous. It's not something that you have to kind of wait for any kind of delayed gratification. It's like you see it in the moment. Like I've seen it on kids' faces where they're just kind of unlocked and unleashed into the present, and they're just kind of like you said, just enjoying hitting this ball over a short net, and for whatever it does, it brings them there. And so you've been doing that for schools. And you recently took a trip to Mexico. Is that right?
Yeah. So a Facebook friend reached out to me, and she knows what I do with the schools and the juvenile detention centers. Her and her mother were actually vacationing in Puerto Morelos, Mexico, which is just outside of Cancun. She asked me if I would be able to donate some equipment. So I said, absolutely. So I flew down 2 nets, 50 balls, and 20 brand new paddles. And we went to an elementary and middle school, and we taught, I would say, about 60 kids over 2 days, pickleball, but we didn't speak the same language. And it just goes to like, it just speaks to what you were just saying as far as like when we put paddles in their hand, we had interpreters, and there were some locals who also are bilingual that helped us out. But like we put paddles in their hands and like they didn't know what to do. They were just looking at it like, what am I supposed to do with this? Within 10 minutes, they are dinking, they are hitting ground strokes, they're sitting there laughing, they're serving, they're talking trash with their friends, they're fun. And I mean, getting the teachers involved. And it's just so crazy because like, I can go to certain cities and I can do free kids clinics and stuff like that. And I'm not to say that they're not appreciative in the United States, but like the amount of like, thank you, like every kid came up to me like and said thank you. And like wanted to take pictures and like wanted to post it to their social media. And the city government caught wind of what we were doing and came and met us the next day to talk about how we could continue to grow the sport of pickleball in their small city. So I'm already planning a return trip in December to double down on what I just did. So I never even thought I would ever go to. I'd never been to Mexico before. It was my first time ever. You know, when I quit my job, I could have never told you that I was going to be taking pickleball to Mexico. You know, but it crosses all boundaries, racial boundaries, societal boundaries, economical boundaries, language barriers. I mean, it bleeds through everything, or it has the ability to, at least.
I love it. And now that you're kind of building bridges for different communities, I know that there are a lot of other community leaders out there who will listen or watch this. Do you have any advice or ideas for some of those community leaders who maybe just want to take the first step in maybe engaging an after school program or just engaging the local kids? Um, Obviously, get in touch with Gizmo, right? Bring Jay in, and so he can help lead that. But if you can give them a first step or maybe a few tactics or things to be thinking through, what would those things be?
First, I mean, really, it's just there's only one tactic: just do it. Don't overthink it. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. I mean, it takes work, yes, but I mean, literally, out of all the people who play pickleball, I guarantee you that there's one person in your group who is either a teacher, who is a teacher's assistant, who is a principal, who is a guidance counselor, who knows somebody whose neighbor's cousin is a teacher in the neighboring county. Like, somebody knows a teacher. Just ask. Tell them, hey, look, we want to come in. I'll get some volunteers from the local pickleball club. It doesn't take many. 4 or 5 people will come in. We'll take down a court in the gym. We'll introduce pickleball. We'll get paddles in the kid's hand. It's really not hard. Same thing with the Boys and Girls Club or Girl Scout troops, Boy Scouts. I mean, there's anything that deals with kids, and especially now that there's it's getting ready to be summertime, like there's going to be summer camps. If you know of a summer camp in your area, maybe reach out to the director and say, hey, I've got this cool game. I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard about it. Again, a couple of people from the pickleball community could come out. All we need is a parking lot and some painter's tape, and we have everything else. Because again, just introducing the game to the kids is the first step, because they're going to go home. They're going to tell their parents about pickleball. Their parents are going to be like, pickle what? What are you talking about? I've never heard of it. They're going to Google it. They're going to find out that it's America's fastest growing sport. And they're just to be like, you know what? We can go on Amazon. We can get you some paddles. And we all know how addictive pickleball is. And it's crazy because everybody's journey, I want to say, almost starts very similarly. Like, they try it, they like it, they love it, and they're hooked. The smallest things have the most impact, because I had a teacher actually reach out to me. I went to his school. The associate superintendent of middle schools caught wind of it, wanted to bring me in and go to all middle schools, all 16 middle schools in his jurisdiction. So, I mean, it's truly not that hard. Just do it.
Just do it. Just ask. I love what you said there. As far as just, it's there. Um, it's ripe. It's ripe for the picking. Just to kind of pull from a farm metaphor. I think, like you said, there's so many people who are already inside the pickleball ecosystem who are either teaching or who are involved in the community, and it's really just connecting the dots, right? Like, you might not even have to facilitate it. It's just kind of putting the people together, because it's all there. It's just solidifying it a little bit. And
I,
so,
I will say this though: don't be super selective about your areas. Because I don't want to miss this. Everybody deserves a chance to be introduced to pickleball, no matter what side of town you live on, no matter what school you go to, no matter what your parents bring home annually. That is all irrelevant. Everybody that is on the face of this earth should have the ability to be introduced to pickleball. I spend a lot of my time in underprivileged, underserved communities because I know that they are usually the communities that are looked over. I don't care what color you are, white, blue, black, green, yellow, purple. I truly don't care. There are other people who do. And I just want to kind of plead with others, don't be that person. I'm going to do a 30 kid clinic on the west side of Atlanta at a tennis venue. And I asked another pro, and he was, to help, and he said he was all for it. Well, when his wife found out where the center was, she kind of grabbed him and just like, nah, we don't go on that side of town. I understand her, apprehension, but the fact is, those kids need saving too.
Mm.
It was at a tennis center, like it wasn't at like, in the hood, like yes, it was on the not nice side of town, but like just from me to you, like don't leave them people behind.
Mm.
So I just had to say that.
That's such a good word. And I think that I really appreciate that, and that needs to be said because that happens outside of pickleball. That's all sports. Kids are overlooked, communities are overlooked because they're on they're on the margins. And so and for all kinds of reasons. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. As far as kids go and really the future of pickleball, how what's your vision for it? Like where do you see it going?
Yeah, so I'd love to sit here and tell you that I want to see it in the Olympics and I want to see it, TV every Monday night, this and the third. Me personally, Gizmo Pickleball, and I'll go on record of saying this, I don't care about that. I truly don't. I'm more focused on the grassroots level of pickleball because that's to me where it's most important. Like it would be cool to see it at the Olympic level, but like I would rather see it in every middle school and every high school, potentially with a route of getting kids scholarships for pickleball. Like, I mean, what would it look like if, you tell your neighbor like, yeah, my daughter's going to, getting a full ride for botany or, chemistry, oh, that's cool. Well, mine's getting a full ride for pickleball. Like, that would be awesome in my mind, And again, if it is taught in every middle school and high school, that means that every kid is going to at least have some sort of exposure to it. And I would rather every kid have exposure to it than getting it monetized. Because I don't care anything about the dollar. I don't care anything about monetizing. I do what I do for purpose and purpose alone. I'm of the belief that if I give my gift away, that the universe is just going to shift in order for me to continue giving my gift away. So like, that's what I operate over. How much money can I make, or how much money can we make if we get pickleball on, NBC or ABC? Like I don't care nothing about that.
I love it. It's so pure, and it's so right for right now for pickleball and just how it's exploding. And so I can really appreciate that perspective. All right, Gizmo. So let's jump into the lightning round. To wrap things up, I want to just kind of hit you with a few questions, and just get your feedback on it, get your perspective in this lightning round here. So, first question is fill in the blank. Pickleball is.
My lifesaver.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All
Do I
right.
need to explain, or is it just answer and done?
I'd like to hear your perspective. I want to hear you expand on that, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So when pickleball came into my life, just at the crux in my life that I was in, like I was very suicidal. And again, just being able to, no matter how bad it was on my worst days, to if I could peel myself out of bed, out of the house, get my shoes on and get to the pickleball court, that like I was going to be okay for hour, for 2 hours. And, I just started playing more and more, and it has completely consumed my life in a good way. So, yeah, I mean, pickleball is my lifesaver.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so good. Um, what is this is switching gears a little bit to the more tactical side, but what is one pickleball accessory under $100 that has changed your game?
Okay. So I will say that it is, and they're all different brands. You can make them yourself. It's the ball picker up tube. I think you can make it for under 20 bucks. Reason being, when I first started playing, I ordered a ball machine. I was like, man, I'm gonna use this thing 30 times a day. I'm gonna just train, train, train. I hate picking up balls. It is the bane of my existence. I hate picking up balls so much that I stopped using my ball machine. And I was just like, you spend all this money on a piece of equipment, more than $100, and you're not going to use it. It's going to sit and collect dust. Or you can get a ball tube for under 20 bucks. Yeah, because without the tube, it takes you 50% longer to hit balls because you have to turn it on, get to your side of the net, hit the balls, turn it off, go pick them up. Yeah, it's not happening. But if you can just take the ball picker upper, run around, scoop, 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 dump it in there, scoop, 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 dump it in there. I mean, it cuts down the time immensely.
Wow. That's something I has never crossed my mind, but it's blowing my mind right now. And how much did you say it costs?
Well, if the ball machine was like $1,000, but the ball picker upper, I mean, you can get a piece of PVC tubing from Lowe's for, and like a string or a rubber band. There's all sorts of plans for it in like the pickleball form. But yeah, I mean, seriously, under 20 or 30 bucks, you can get it. But there's even companies that sell them. They got to be under 100 bucks.
Yeah, I could see how PVC, and I've actually seen those before, like the homemade ones. You
Absolutely.
could easily do that for under like 20 bucks.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a good one. That's one I haven't heard. I like it. All right, next question. What are your top 5 songs that you're playing when you're on the pickleball court?
Ah, man. So I don't necessarily know that they're songs, but it's just more of a genre of music that gets me mentally where I need to go. So, well, there's okay. So
It's a tough one.
yeah. Mm, so on my way to the courts, I'll listen to Dr. Eric Thomas. He's the number one motivational speaker in the world, and he releases like mixtapes, and it's actually speeches, but it just like touches your soul, and it gets you where you need to be mentally. It literally, you can go on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever. YouTube. Dr. Eric Thomas, like his mixtapes are fire, and I mean, like the tracks are maybe 3 or 4 minutes long, but like the stories or the parables that are in there, like it just mentally gets me where I need to go. The other thing, and I would say more artist than just like a song, but like so have you ever heard of the rapper Tech 9?
Yeah.
So he's out of Kansas City, Missouri, number one independent artist in the world. I actually so his record label is called Strange Music. And, I'll say Strange Music has also saved my life. So much so that I've got the Strange Music tattoo, like the logo tattoo. But like, so I listen to Tech 9, I listen to King ISO, Chris Calico, Ritz, again, these are a lot of underground artists per se, but like, you know, their music isn't commercial. Like they talk about the bad days. They talk about, not sunshine and rainbows per se, but again, it's only weird. Mental health is only weird because we don't talk about it.
Mm.
It's like trying to have the birds and the bees talk with your kids. Like, yeah, it's only awkward because people don't want to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so listening to them be open and out, just open about, their mental health issues through their music. And I'm just like, man, I'm not the only one that feels like this,
Mm,
you know? And so like, it gives me a sense of like belonging in a tribe of like, mental health warriors.
mm.
Um, that, that's what I listen to. A
Wow,
lot of
I
people
love.
won't understand it though, because they'll listen to it and they'll be like, well, why do you listen to this negative or this down music? You should listen to positivity. And I'm just like, yeah, but the people that are singing about positivity are lying to you, saying that they don't have bad days. And that's just not me.
Right? And the real, raw, authentic music, it's cathartic, like it's therapeutic and we can relate to it because it's real. And there's something magical about that where you hear that expression come back to you. It's almost like a reflection, but just um it's audible, right? And so there's something about that moment and experiencing that art and that in its authentic form, right?
Absolutely.
So
Similar to, you know,
yeah, yeah, and so I do want to kind of camp out here for a second, where we talk about pickleball and mental health. You said mental health warrior. I really like that. So what's your perspective on? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but your philosophy on mental health, kind of where you're going with that in terms in relations to pickleball and the platform you're building and how you're talking about it. Can you share a little bit about that?
yeah, for sure. I mean, really, it's just me wearing my heart on my sleeve. I know the dark place that not speaking up about your mental health can get you. Speaking from personal experience, I've been more suicidal than, probably a lot of people. I've lost a lot of people to suicide, a lot of close friends. And I tell people all the time, like, I deal with mental health for real. Again, I ride the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And um, I know how I feel as a person when I don't talk about it. The flip side of that coin is it takes me back to me being who I needed when I needed them that I never got, because the amount of messages that I get from complete strangers in my DM regularly saying, I don't know you from Adam, or I came across you on social media, but I appreciate you being vulnerable enough to talk about this because I'm dealing with it too, or I was dealing with it, and I just saw this post at the right time and it helped me. So like by me helping other people by talking about my trauma and my mental health, well-being and non-well-being, knowing that it's helping others, like that low key is like helping me heal. Uh,
Mm,
so it's like I'm not doing it like out of self-service, but like the self-service of me slowly healing
it's
is like,
community. I
yeah,
feel like it's community where it's um it's happening in real time and you're being honest and authentic, and that's inspiring, and that inspires other people to seek their own therapy or seek their own kind of modes of mental health, and whether that's help or whether that's helping other people, and just really having a conversation about it, because I think that we've for so long dealt with kind of it's stigmatized, right? And we talk about it and kind of behind closed doors, when in reality we're experiencing it everywhere, beyond the door. And so it's something that requires a conversation that has to be open. And I think it's so good for you to be bringing that into the kind of public domain, especially within pickleball, because I think there's so much with pickleball and mental health that kind of overlap. Kind of like what we were talking about, just being in the present moment, where it's therapy in a lot of ways, and so it's such a great conversation that you're sparking and facilitating.
Yeah, for sure. And not everybody is into it. I get a lot of messages. Just go get help. Why don't you go get some medicine? Go to therapy. Go talk to somebody. And I'm just like, yo, do you think that I am that dumb that if that take that I wouldn't have been did that? Like, come on, man. I get it. You obviously don't understand. I mean, not you per se, but like people who write that stuff, like it's more to that. But like you said, the people in the community, like they understand it. And like, and I learned this a long time ago, like when people not in your target market or target demographic don't understand what your point that you're trying to get across, like, don't be offended. Don't be, it's because quite honestly, like what you're selling or giving or saying is not for them anyway. So like, of course they're not going to understand it.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point, and it's it's worth noting that they're just trolls and haters online, and that's going to come with anything and everything that we do. And if you don't have haters, it's almost like you're not being successful. So I think in some way that you are, in a lot of ways you are successful, but in that metric alone, that proves itself that you're getting some success there. Um, okay, so wrap it up. One more question: what is some pickleball advice so amazing that you have to share it, or so crappy you have to warn us about it?
Um, so first thing that I would say is, and people are gonna, I guarantee you, 95% of the people who are listening will not do this. Get yourself a drill partner.
Mm.
Please, please, for the love of God, Jesus Christ, Lord and Christ Savior, please just get yourself a drill partner. Like pickleball is the only sport. Think about it. Basketball, football, soccer, all that. You practice 6 days a week for one game. Like I guarantee you, if you get people together, like, all right, yeah, let's drill. Okay. You get 4 pickleball players together. I guarantee you after 10 dinks, everybody's back at the baseline. Y'all ready to go? 002. All right, here we go. Like, and it's crazy because like people when I teach across the nation, they're just like, well, I don't have a good backhand. Well, so then my next question is, well, how often do you practice your backhand? Oh, well, during the game, and I'm just like during a game, you may only get 5 or 6 opportunities at hitting a backhand. But if you get yourself a drill partner and you get a bucket of balls, a bag of balls, have them hit, hey, can you hit me some balls to my backhand? Just me and you. Just, if you want ground strokes, if you want them at the kitchen line, it doesn't matter. Only hit backhands. After 30 minutes, you've hit 100 or 200 backhands. And what that does is pickleball it's about muscle memory. So the more backhands you hit, it allows you to become more comfortable with what your backhand actually feels like. Like, I can't just look at Ben Johns and be like, man, I like that backhand roll that he's got, and just jump out on the court. All right, 002 and start, expecting to sit there and roll it. Like, yeah, that's not how that works. Like you have to put time in for whatever piece of this craft that you want to hone. You just have to. So, again, just if you want to work on one thing, get a drill partner and specifically work on that one thing. So that's the good piece of advice. The bad piece of advice, potentially the worst advice that I've ever heard in pickleball. As soon as you hit your third shot, or as soon as your partner hits their third shot, immediately get to the kitchen line. That is absolute fallacy. That is how people take balls in the face, in the chest, and get pickleball tattoos. The name of the game after the third shot is to get to the kitchen line. Absolutely, yes. But unless you trust your partner, or we live in a perfect world, every third shot is not going to be 0.2 inches above the top of the net tape. So, like, if you're running 1,000 miles an hour to that kitchen line because your partner is going to pick up that third, well, if it's high and you're just standing there with your paddle at the kitchen line, just looking at the opponent sitting there, paddle up like Michael Jordan, just getting ready to dunk on it. Like, no, you have to read the third shot. So, like, me personally, I look at the third shot as a game of Mother May I. So, like, if it's a perfect third shot. I know it's not attackable. I could practically army crawl to the kitchen line because I know that they're not going to be able to take that ball out of the air. They've got to bounce it. I've got the time that I need. Mother, may I get to that kitchen line? Absolutely. If it's a little higher where they're able to volley the ball out of the air, maybe roll the ball, not kill the ball, but just roll it, I may have to take 1 or 2 steps in, play my 5th shot from mid-court, which again has to also be unattackable, and then get to that kitchen line. But the flip side of that coin is if I hit a third shot drop that's 10 feet in the air and I know that they're going to attack it, there's absolutely no way in the world could I or should I get to that kitchen line. So assess every third shot. Don't just hit your third shot or take off to the kitchen line because you know your partner is picking up that third shot.
I love it. And just wait for the 5th, the 7th, the 9th, and just work your way up. It's not always going to be the 3rd, you know?
Absolutely. We don't have a shot clock. I'm here for as many as it takes.
Let's just keep this rally going, Well, Jay, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you and getting to know you. I'm more inspired, and I know people watching and listening to this will be more inspired. Is there a place that people can find you if they want to learn more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm all over any social media. I mean, you could literally send a carrier pigeon with a cheeseburger and I guarantee it'll make its way to me. But Gizmo Pickleball on any social media. Pickleball. I usually use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube the most. And then as far as like the farming activities or like, the juvenile stuff, pickleballfarm.com. Or gizmopickleball.com as well. But yeah, pickleballfarm.com, pickleball farm on any social media. Yeah, I mean, it's quite honestly, it's hard not to at least hear about something of what I'm doing, through somebody who knows somebody. But I will say that we've got a lot of big things on the radar and in the coming days. So just keep your eyes peeled is all I can say at this current moment. I appreciate all support. And yeah.
I love it. Can you drop any hints or any teasers for the people who are listening?
Honestly, I wish I could. It's so honestly, you know what? If you go to any of my social media pages yesterday, I posted about a pickleball case that should be nearing the end this week. So
is that the guy in Colorado?
It has to do with that. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
We got big things coming, baby. That's all I can say.
All right. Well, you've piqued my interest. Definitely, I'm gonna go check that out, and let's do this again sometime. We didn't get into the farm, but let's do another episode sometime really soon, and so you can update me on the farm. Let me know how that's going. I know you're doing a lot of work out there, and I'd love to see some pictures and see how it's coming along.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, if you got free time, man, swing on down to Virginia, man. We got the pickleball court. We got it all. If you got free time, come on down.
I love it. All right, I'm gonna take you up on that, man. I appreciate that. Thanks again for this conversation. It's been great, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, man. Have a great day.
Appreciate it.